problems. Okay, so today my talk is going to be about my experience in the last 3 years in this area of cervical cancer. Some of this data will go with what Dr. Sridevi was talking about, some of the issues with cervical cancer. Let me try to be as brief as possible. This data was already shown. The most important point is cancer is not a disease of the rich countries anymore. The less developed areas, less developed countries in the world, Latin America, Africa, is all getting lots and lots of cancer. And the interesting thing is, death due to cancer is much, much higher in the poor countries than in rich countries. So if you get diagnosed with cancer, you're likely to live, if you live in a rich country, compared to a poor country. So if you, and that indicates only one thing: access to healthcare. Access to healthcare is lacking among the poor, and that kills them. So that is really a sad thing. As far as this data was shown by Dr. Sridevi again, I don't want to repeat it. The only thing is that breast and cervical cancer are the highest cancer, especially among women in developing countries. Now, I'm going to concentrate, for the rest of the talk is going to be about cervical cancer. The more developed countries have had a success story with cervical cancer. Between 1955 and 1992, the rate of cervical cancer went down drastically in many of the developed countries, in the Western world, so to say. It dropped down 70%, and there were just simply two reasons. One was this test called Pap smear, and the second was this developing of this workforce called cytotechnologist. Cytopathologist was there, but then they had this non-medical staff called cytotechnologist, which contributed to the screening activity, and these two contributed to the decline in cervical cancer. Nothing else changed. They were not having better sexual hygiene or better hygiene, or water problem was not there at all. So the only thing was they had better screening strategies and better access to healthcare. A simple Pap smear, not the expensive liquid-based cytology, a simple Pap smear, conventional Pap smear and cytotechnology by themselves reduced cervical cancer in the developing world. So in the later part of the talk, I'll be talking about something else, why we are not able to do this. Let's actually focus on the early portion here. The problem in India is not about the incidence, it is just the huge population. Because of the huge population, we have the highest number of cervical cancer in the entire world. 1 in every 3rd cervical cancer is from India in the entire world, and that is actually very sad. That being a preventable cancer, why are we lagging behind? So I realized that in around 2010, and so I thought that I should get involved and do something rather than just being, come here, give talks and go back to my work. So we started doing these cancer camps in Tiruchi, and later on I joined hands with Dr. Sivaramakrishnan here. I started talking about why we should actually promote what we should be doing. And Tiruchi and Tirunelveli became our focal points. And just last year we joined hands with Udavam Mullangal and started strategizing what else to do. So I'm going to be talking about 2+1 things today, and that is all, no data, nothing. The first two are community engagement, and I'm going to talk about this methodology for cervical cancer screening. And then the third part of my talk will be about what are the barriers, why do we have to, just a little bit of a philosophical point about barriers for delivering this cancer screening program to poor people. So those are the three things that I'm going to be talking about. This idea of cancer camps, where we in my first years, we raised about $20,000. I think it's about 10 lakh rupees. So we did a lot of cancer camps, about four cancer camps per month. We would have advertisements in the local paper. There were some advantages. It was, all you do is screening for cancer. You bring in people, talk to them about cancer, advocacy, education. The disadvantage was that it was too expensive and too much activity for what we were getting back. So we studied the cancer camp idea, and then in cancer camps we had increased a number of screens, But that is not what those people, the patients were not actually wanting to have screening. It was good for us, but not for them. So it did not really engage the community. This is what happened in some of our cancer camps. This is from, I think, Manappare in Trichy, near Trichy. And we did have a good turnover in some of these things, where we did camps, we put good publicity in the local papers, and that did reach out to the people. We would give pamphlets like these, and it was pretty nice. And then I will quote some of the people in the participating, the healthcare providers, and they will act out. We would have about a good turnout, about sometimes about 400 people per day would get screened in the camps. And these kind of camps were good outreach, focused on cancer. We talked about cancer. However, they were coming in for some kind of incentive. They would come there maybe because they knew the doctor, they were trying to, or then sometimes in government hospitals, they were not even aware that it was pap smear was being taken. They would go there, they would participate, and then a smear would be taken. So it was not really engaging them. They did not realize it was for their own health. So we were able to get the numbers, but really, is that what we wanted to do? This is another camp which you can see Dr. Geeta Jairam. I think it is in Perambalur, near Trichy, and we had some visitors from Boston, my city. Kathy Clapperish on the side. She is a device engineer. We would counsel the patients and we would talk to them about those things, but just about the cancer alone. We also were actively doing breast cancer. Dr. Sridevi was mentioning about this breast self-examination. We would teach them how to do breast self-examination using these molds. And that was actually now, hitting on 2 gynecological cancers. It was not too bad for, but then we were realizing that we were not really solving the problems of the community. I think once let's say that we were blessed by God and we were taking care of all the cervical cancer, they would come up with some other problem, heart disease, kidney disease, depression. I was just talking to the psychiatrist here. Depression, suicide was high. So there was something missing here. You plug in one hole, some other hole comes out. It was just too much for. I was asking the question, am I really doing anything for this community, or what was going on? So we actually have moved out from the camp idea to really study and help out the community. Let's see what the community needs. This is a much larger area, and it's actually contentional, but I'm convinced that this is what is needed for those communities that we are working for. So that's where the physicians serving the communities help. So this is one of the villages that we work in. We would go there, talk to the community, and we stay there. It's not like a cancer camp. Do the camp, come out. We would be following the village over a long time. We would make sure all the women in the village get screened for cervical cancer. We would study the children, what is happening, are they going to school, all those kind of things is what we plan to do. And because we are studying these problems, we know that the women in this family, this is from your district, this is from a village, this family has a husband, a wife, and a child. If in case the woman gets cancer and dies, that family is gone. So if a cancer affects one person, that entire family is gone. This husband will go out, marry someone else. That child there is gone. He's either adopted by someone or that's it. So taking care of the women in that family is extremely important, and that's why we have to study the community. We have to provide her with necessarily cancer screening equipment, or get them to healthcare in the right time. So this is this is the village that we adopted. It's called Ayyapuram near Karugumalai. And you can see one of your doctors here, Dr. Sivaramakrishnan, joined me for the Independence Day camp. August 14th and 15th we went there. He was there. We did a little puja in this little temple. And then the next day we went out and did the camps. The women are all quite religious. They were doing this religious pilgrimage the next day. They had about 200 families in that village, about 1,500 members. This is a picture taken in the evening, around 4 or 5. Who is missing here? So there are the women, the children, the adult men. Where are they? They've gone out drinking. So we would never know that if we were doing these camps, right? So drinking is a huge problem there. They would spend about 280, 300 rupees every day on drinking. 300 rupees a day per family on drinking. So we were wondering about all these things, and then the next day we went out and screened. Your local school, this Sri Lalita Vidyashram matriculation, they sent their staff with us. We went there, and their teachers, their nurses from Sudarshan Hospital, they all helped us with this, conducting this camp. And what we do with these villages, a community that we adopt, is appoint what's called as an accompanitor, a person who accompanies this community. She will stay there. She will, this community person, community social worker will visit every, once in 2 or 3 weeks, and then just talk to them, find out what their problem is, find out whether everyone is getting screened, follow this village or community over a long time, and trying to slowly educate them and introduce healthy habits. Okay, so, and I'm pretty convinced that this is the way to work in learning about communities and helping them. This is one of my cousins. He brought, we got some kits for blood sugar testing. He's doing this fingerprint test for random blood sugar. I participate, even though I'm a pathologist. I take out my stethoscope, examine patients, and advise them about things. It was actually pretty intense morning till evening work, but it did build a relationship with that community. They believed in me, they trusted me, and they actually participated in their healthcare activity. Now I'm going to talk about the second topic, cervical cancer. It appears as if it's a simple thing. We have 3 separate, Dr. Sridevi mentioned a lot of points which was all valid. There are 3 methods to screen for cervical cancer: the visual inspection with acetic acid, cytology, and HPV DNA. I won't go into all these things. VIA is extremely cheap. The interpretation complexity, she said training has to be imparted. That's an important point. Cytology is what we advocate, the pap smear. HPV DNA is effective by various studies. However, it is quite expensive. I won't go into the HPV testing in detail, but early on, based on the 2009 paper from Sankara Narayanan, we thought that HPV was the key in India, and we were advocating for HPV testing. However, we have backed off after cost calculation. I'll show you this. This paper was quite a landmark paper. In 2009, it shows that if all you do is just HPV, you can reduce the cancer-related deaths by half. 100 deaths will become 50 deaths. Just this one test. So that was actually a pretty strong study. Our study showed that HPV still needed cytology, is still a good test, good screening strategy. But when we started calculating just the district of Tiruchi, I'll show you some data, it was quite cost prohibitive. Let's take Tiruchi district as a model. If you want to do HPV testing, if it is just $10, $10 is a very cheap dollar amount. About $10 would be 600 rupees, right? So yeah, 600 rupees. It's $10 is 600 rupees. 600 rupees. If you just take the district of Tiruchi, there's about 500,000 women to be screened. If you got it to $10, it is still $5 million for just one test, and that is only for screening. That is absolutely cost prohibitive. That is not practical in India, not in US, not in any area in the world. So this is extremely cost prohibitive. So we backed off from the HPV strategy, knowing that this is not going to work. The cytology is actually the key here, cytology is the only thing that will work in any place, and that's what has historically worked too. Pap smear has worked in the United States and UK and everywhere else, so that is what we have to implement successfully here. Conventional pap smear does work when it's done in a nice way. Liquid-based pap smear has some better quality, but it's expensive. The cost benefit of doing a conventional pap smear is defeated when you do LBC, liquid-based pap smear. I won't talk about this liquid-based smear. We'll just stick to what is called as this conventional smear. We studied what are the cultural limitations of women coming to do this pap smear and publish this in their papers, etc. The 2 or 3 barriers to do conventional smear is the presence of inflammation, and the second point is this lack of trained cytotechnologies. The cytopathologists also have this varying quality, which have limited the use of pap smear in our communities, especially in the non-urban communities. So this is again a picture from, we were very lucky to get Dr. Geeta Jairam in our team, and she has kind of dedicated herself into this mission. She is local, she is in Tamil Nadu, and she happily participated in this program to train as well as screen some of these slides free of cost. And this has been working for the last 6 or 7 months, and it's actually working out as a good screening strategy. Now, if you impart that to our program, this is cost calculation. If you use HPV testing, it costs about $11 to $12. That's a lot of money per patient. If you use a good cyto screener, and even if you use HPV on the positive cases, it came out to just $1, about 60 rupees, and we are actually aiming to even reduce that furthermore with eliminating the HPV out of the algorithm. So cost calculating, practicality, everything points to pap smear as the best way of screening in India. What about this visual inspection with acetic acid? This has been touted by many as because there's a see and treat programs. The IARC data all supported this VAA because they thought that there is no infrastructure in India, there is no way we can train cytologists or cytopathologists in India. So we actually sincerely gave our effort into that. We put a lot of effort. We trained our gynecologist, Dr. Jayapandi, in RCC to do this VIA screening. And let me show you some data. It was actually, Dr. Sridevi showed some pictures similar to hers. We grew a database of all the VIAs and compared it to our cytology data. In the earliest part of our study, we did all 3, HPV, cytology as well as VIA. Our VIA strategy, despite good training, resulted in a pretty high false positivity, about 30% false positivity, and a comparable amount, about 30% false negativity, and that was quite discouraging. So we thought that this is, the VIA is not working in the hands despite training, and we actually disbanded it. We are not doing VIA anymore for at least screening. So what is the advantage of VIA? They said it can be done where infrastructure lacks. And what does the WHO, the World Health Organization, mean by that? It's actually good in countries like Africa, where there is only one physician, one hospital per large community, or even they don't have pathology labs in Africa for just one lab for the entire country. In a place like that, maybe VIA is practical. Not in India, where we have trained manpower. Even Africa, so I actually traveled to Africa to find out how they are successfully implementing VIA. Even Africa is actually backing off from VIA. In South Africa, they said VIA is not working, let's actually build our infrastructure for labs. So VIA should that be the strategy in Tamil Nadu or India? We at least suggest that VIA should be confirmed by a cytology-based test. And the lab infrastructure in India is actually not at all poor. It's a pretty pathology and lab rich country. So this is a statement by South Africa which said that VIA should be used only as to create a screening infrastructure but then they should transit out to cytology-based test. This is in fact some of the pictures showing that the pathology labs in our country is actually pretty good. This is from the Cancer Institute Adyar, where these are equipment that the Western world uses. They have all modern equipment. Pathology is great. They adopt techniques that is actually very similar or sometimes even better than what we do in the Western countries. They have immunostain. This is from Regional Cancer Center in Trivandrum. They have excellent staff. Because they have so much cost consciousness, they have some really good clinical skills. Their morphology-based diagnostic abilities are really, really superb compared to even some of the Western pathologists. So in the cost paradox in cervical cancer screening, the successful technique, at least in my eyes, is the Pap smear, the conventional Pap smear, which has worked in the Western world historically. So the conventional Pap smear is actually what we are advocating, and towards that we are building laboratories, which we have already done a lab in Tiruchi, which was pretty good. These are the two cyto technologies. One is this manager called Ilango and Raji. Some of you may know them, whoever has. The funding body, the body which is behind this effort is called this EPNA, Association of Indian Pathologists in North America. They are aware of our work, and they have actually helped a lot in providing the initial infrastructure. Now let me come to this last point about, it's a very brief point. I just wanted to stimulate this thought process with this philosophical thinking, this problem. So what is the implementation barrier? Pap smear costs about 50 rupees. Why are we not able to get Pap smear in for our poor people? Why are we backing out? Why are we trying to find an excuse to use a cheaper test which is not so efficient, the VIA? Let's actually compare healthcare to the delivery of a simple consumer commodity. And that is a Coca-Cola. I took this picture in the Boston airport just before coming here on February 1st. They have this Coca-Cola vending machines there. This is the exact same Coca-Cola that you get in Burma, remote villages of Burma, and it costs about 60 rupees. Okay, so you're able to get the same Coca-Cola commodity in the same village that I'm working in near Ayabaram. Right? So if you're able to get Coca-Cola, an international product, in a village called Ayabaram, why can't we get Pap smear? What is the barrier? Right? Not only Coca-Cola, I'm telling you, the villagers there know Jack Daniels, Johnny Walker. They know a lot more about whiskey names and brandy names than me. Okay, so those people have marketed all these commodities to the communities in South India and villages. However, Pap smear is not getting there. So where is the barrier? Where exactly is the barrier in deploying a good screening strategy? That one, I don't know what it is. I think it is Johnny Walker. Used to be only in movies, but now you see it everywhere. Okay, this lack of men, they were all gone drinking. They can spend that money in Pap smears. So if it is possible to bring Coca-Cola to the remotest portions of India and Burma, I'm pretty sure that you can get a very common conventional Pap smear to these communities. And that's what we are working on. So it's not just my question. This guy Prashant Yadav from University of Michigan, he had actually studied that in detail. And learning from the Coca-Cola, he has studied that from the global health delivery standpoint. I'm actually collaborating and writing about cervical cancer and Coca-Cola, and we know exactly why it is not getting in. And that is because about this mindset that we really cannot implement a laboratory-based local infrastructure. We are working on breaking that mindset. The quality and local engagement, imaging, developing the cytotechnology workforce, cytoscreeners who will screen, and this expert cytopathologists like Dr. Geeta Jairam who will back up our efforts. Some of the proponents of VIA say that India cannot have good labs. India cannot have good Pap smears. They are the ones who advocate VIA. I think that is a myth, and we are working very hard with you, with your community, to establish a laboratory-based, pap smear-based screening technology that will work here. So this is my last slide, a mindset of this is what we can do, so this is what we should be doing, should be substituted by this is what we should be doing, right? Do the right thing, which is the pap smear. Just don't back away from it with because of all the problems. So this is, I wanted to thank IPNA, Association of Indian Pathologists of North America. They are all keenly watching this program and project. Tiruchi lab, setting up this lab in Tirunelveli, are all backed by them. And there will be multiple visitors from them to train manpower, to develop our labs. And I want all your support and help. I have my email here. If you have any question and interest, please email me. You'll be seeing my face again and again in the next few years, several years, asking for your help in this program. Okay? So the plans for 2014 is we are thinking of adopting 5 communities, building a lab, training cytotechnologists, and implement the right test, which is a pap smear-based test for cervical cancer screening in Tirunelveli and in Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I can take it.